Hey, it's Bo, and we are going to talk about communicating with guides in this Q&A. So we have a question from Becky. Becky says, if I can't actually hear or see my guide, what other modes or signs could work? Great question, because guide communication is tough for a lot of people, and we want to communicate with them. It can be really, really tough to get out of our human head and open that line of communication. So a couple really key factors, and I'll break it down real small. There's a lot more, learning tools in the SAGE method and the SAGE circle and stuff like that if you really want to dive into it further. But some of the really key components when it comes to successful guide communication is a commitment, daily commitment. If you can do a daily commitment of 5 minutes a day, that's going to be really important. And then on top of that, it's your reasoning why you want to communicate with them. Make sure you hold the right purpose behind the communication. There's two ways to approach guide communication. Either one, and I say this because I've done them both. I started out with, when I met my first guide, I was like, oh, I have this communication and now I want to know, when will I, trade in my car? When are we going to move? What are my kids going to do when they grow up? And the communication just, it wasn't strong, and I wasn't getting answers. And eventually I realized that when it comes to guides, they're going to be more excited to communicate with you when you're asking questions that help them help you. So eventually I'm going to move, and it's going to happen when it's going to happen. I'm going to trade in a car. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. My kids are going to grow up and they're going to do what they're going to do. But when I ask my guides questions about how I can help my spiritual path, that's when the communication usually busts wide open. And then the third part would be fear. Sometimes people still have a fear, even though they don't know it. Maybe it could be really, really subtle, but they have a fear of what would happen if all of a sudden I saw a guide or I heard a voice. And that's understandable. But overall, out of those three things, the number one piece is have the right reason to talk to them, which is to find out information about your path so you can help them guide you on your path. Meaning, there's one sentence. So if you're gonna open up your guide communication, the number one sentence is, and it fits in this nice little box in my head, the number one sentence is, what is it you want me to know? Ask that of your guide, because then what you're saying is to your guide, you know best. You can see my entire past, you can see my entire future, you know where I'm headed, you know best. What is it that you want me to know? And that's when the guides go, oh, well good, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you this. Because if I tell you this, now I know you're gonna help me get you to where I need to get you, because that's their only job. That's their only job. Now, guide communication, the most simple tool when it comes to training to open up that connection is to find a blank wall, sit about 4 feet away from the blank wall, and then focus your gaze right in between you and the wall. So in essence, defocus. Have you ever had that moment where you saw something out of the corner of your eye and then you turned and it was gone? That's because you're defocused. Your periphery is defocused. When you focus in on something, you're focusing in on something in the human realm. So if you allow your gaze to relax, that's a statement of letting go of, releasing kind of your focus on the human realm and the agreed upon reality and the solid, and you're relaxing because your guides aren't here. They're not earth-based. So if you're focused on something earth-based, then you need to shift your focus into where they're hanging out, kind of. It's kind of the best way to say it. So whether they communicate with you through sound, through images, through showing up visually for you, through emotions, through feelings, through words, all of those things are possible in doing this exercise. Do this exercise once a day for, 5 minutes, that's it. Is just defocus and allow your gaze to soften, and then say, hey, update them what's going on with you. Hey guides, this is what's going on with me right now. This is what I'm focusing on. This is what I'm hopeful for. This is the direction I'm going in. What is it that you would like me to know? And then sit, relax, be open to any way that it comes in. Don't box yourself up in any one box. Allow them all options to happen. You may see them here, there, standing here. You might hear a voice either in your head or outside, from the outside. There's so many different ways. You might get a chill. You might feel a hand on your shoulder. You might get goosebumps when you communicate with them. Just know that connection, keeping that connection on a regular basis, on a commitment. You're committed to being on their team. That connection on a regular basis is going to improve the communication over time. So for me, for me and for so many other students that I've taught, when you first start communicating with a guide, it's a sentence, or even like a word or a blip or a short sentence, or maybe sort of a visual, but you can't quite, grasp onto that. And then if you stay committed, stay a part of the team member. What is it that you want me to know? What do you want to tell me that'll help me on my path? And then stay committed and keep going. The communication will become stronger and stronger and stronger. It's almost as if it's a bond that starts to form, between the two kind of realms, really, if you think about it. You're reaching out there to say, hey, I want to be able to connect with you. When they reach back and say, yes, let's connect because you're going to help this whole process, that's when everything starts to open up. Now, another great way is to say, can you give me a sign? And then stay open to how that shows up, because it could be a billboard, it could be a license plate, it could be something that someone says, it could be something. I remember shortly after my grandmother passed, I had her ring and I was wearing it on a necklace around my neck. And as many of us have done with someone that passes or that we're really connected to. And I had to go to Staples to go pick up some printing that I had done. And I was really kind of upset, and I had been crying in my car, because she just passed recently. And I go in and I go to pick up the order, keeping my shades on because, I've been all blubbery. And the woman who gave me the order said, I like the ring on your neck, on your necklace. And I said, thank you. She said, it reminds me of my grandmother's jewelry. I used to wear her earrings when I was sad because I missed her. And I'm in Staples going, whoa, okay. And then I opened a conversation with her. I said, wow, I just lost it. Turns out this woman was a reader. And she was just given this information. Do you know what I mean? So a guide, which was my grandmother at the time, just had it come through from her. So be open to how they deliver messages. It could be a song that you hear when you walk into, a store or something. It could be anything. When you get a sign, stop and think, what was I focused on? What was I asking for, or what was I thinking about in this moment? And that can be a little bit of a doorway as well. So when it comes to guide communication, stay committed. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Be on the team for the right reason. You'll have a much better communication, and stick with it, and be open to any way that it could come through. So, great question. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'll be back for the next one.